Hi, good evening. I just wanted to give a quick introduction about this session before I start with the slides. Actually, as the name suggests, this session is talking about creating simple presentations. So why I'm specifically mentioning this is because it doesn't talk about all those fancy presentations that you see on the web. Okay? There are many other ways to create those great presentations, but this presentation is created for a slightly different purpose. This is for newbies. So that means, when I say newbies, they may be experienced people, but they are new to the art of writing presentations. Okay, so it teaches very, very basic things. It doesn't really go beyond some simple tips. Okay, so if your intention is to learn doing really fancy presentations with fantastic graphics and all those things, probably this is not the presentation which can explain that to you. This was actually written for a slightly different purpose. I went to an event and there I saw a lot of students, college students, presenting their research findings or whatever it is as presentations. And when I saw it, I saw some very common mistakes. They are so glaring mistakes. You go and put those presentations in front of somebody, the very next minute you lose the respect. It's like that. That much, glaring mistakes. I am not able to think of any other better word. So what I thought is, I'll just make a simple presentation which talks about making simple presentations. So what I mean by that is, this is going to tell you how to structure with a structure, how to think and how to design your presentation and how to write your presentation. It talks a little bit about presenting it. So I want to make it very clear in the beginning itself, this doesn't teach you to create all those fancy, great, graphic-rich presentations. It doesn't teach you how to do presentations. That means public speaking, without fear, those things it doesn't teach. In fact, it doesn't teach about doing presentations at all. It is entirely focusing on writing presentations. If you have some thoughts in your mind, how to put it in paper and then how to put it in the slides so that you can present it without too much of disturbance. That's the whole goal. Making some simple presentations. That's where I just wanted to explain this. Title sounds so simple, so I just wanted to give some clarity on that. And I'm calling it a forgotten art. Little later I'll explain why I'm calling it an art. It's not a science, it's art. So what it is and then how will. So first I'll just give you a brief agenda. First I'll explain why we should write simple presentations. Next I'll go ahead and explain why pen and paper are important to write a presentation. Usually we start with the system directly. Directly open PowerPoint and then start writing your first line. But typically it starts with pen and paper and then software. That's a sequence. So I'll be explaining why it is required. Then text, layout and colors for your presentations. What to choose, what not to use. Pictures, how to use them and how not to use them. And then presenting it and sharing. Little bit on presenting and sharing. I'm not going to spend too much time on presenting your presentation. Before I start, let me just give some disclaimers. Whatever I'm going to say for the next 45 minutes or so, they are not rules. Okay? This is not the only way to make great presentations or even simple presentations. There may be other good rules to create simple presentations, but this is one common sense guideline. That's all. Whatever I'm going to provide you are series of guidelines which are simple to understand and easy to follow. Maybe there are better ways to do it. You will learn them during your course of your career. That will happen later. At this moment, I'm just going to say some common principles which I believe are right. Treat them as guidance only and not rules. It's not like you should only do it like that and there is no other better way. In fact, there are many other better ways to make good presentations. And one more thing, I'm not going to talk about presentation as such. I'm only going to talk about writing presentations. And one more thing, this is another very, very important point. After you have mastered the art of writing presentations, some of these rules may look silly and stupid to you. Okay? So once you master it, you will start breaking it. But that should be the sequence. It should not be like you start by breaking. You first know what are some common things to follow and then you break them. Once you master, you yourself will start skipping some of the things I'm saying here. So do you understand that when you are writing in the kindergarten days, They give you a note with those 4 lines in it. So you start practicing with those 4 lines. But once you go to first standard, second standard, third standard, you don't need those 4 lines. You are able to write with a single line, sometimes even without a line. You can write. It is like that. Treat it like that. Those are like more like guidances for you to just understand how this is typically done. And then you start breaking it and then doing it the way that you like. That happens at a later stage. And as of now, this will help you to get started. That's the whole purpose of this presentation. So that's a disclaimer I want to give. Don't read them as rules. Now I'll get on to my real topic. Why presentation should be simple? That's the first question I want to answer. I've given some answers. First, simple presentations are what people understand. Period. There is absolutely no question about that. You may be talking to school kids, you may be talking to college students, you may be talking to corporate people, you may be talking to research scientists, whatever they are. Simple presentations are the ones which stick better. The definition of simple may be different for different people. For example, let's say you are explaining brain structure. Explaining brain structure to a school kid will be different, and explaining the same to a college going adult will be different, and explaining it to a medical student will be different, and explaining it to a neurosurgeon will be different. The level of simple changes to each one of them. So the simple itself is a relatively difficult to explain. So from that perspective, find out the simple, what is the level of simpleness that your audience need, and then you have to present it accordingly. So that's what they will understand. So they will understand it better, they will like it better. Just think of any event that you attended where some 4 or 5 presentations were done next to each other. Like last week we had a session where many presentations were done, and just think of it, which one you like the most. I am very confident that you would have liked the simple one the most. That's what people like, irrespective of what they tell you. Even when you watch a movie, you like simple movies. When you read a story, you like simple stories. Of course, there is challenging movies, challenging stories, challenging present. That's a different thrill by itself. But majority of the people understand and like simple stuff. Third one, that's what impresses people. Same story. If you like a presentation, you are impressed by the presenter. So if you want to impress somebody, go with a simple story than a complex story. The risk is lower. And finally, that's what I believe is the right way to do presentations. Presentation should always be simple, is my thought process. And just because I call it a simple presentation, it doesn't mean it is easy to do. It is actually difficult. When you look at it, writing a complex slide is, let's say it takes 5 minutes. Anybody can do it. Anybody can write a complex slide, as long as they are experts in that topic. If you are an expert in, let's say, physics, then you can write a complex slide about some physics concept which you like it so much or you understand it so much, you can write it very easily. But it takes 15 minutes to write a simple slide actually. You have to write it, rewrite it, rewrite it, rewrite it until it makes sense to your audience. You write it, no, this is too heavy. Let me rewrite it. Oh, let me say this with an example. Let me put a picture here. Let me do this. Let me do that. You do a lot of stuff, and finally, you end up spending 3 times the time that you would have spent creating a complex slide. But only intelligent and caring people do it. That is the reason why I put the word caring there. I believe those who write simple presentations care for their audience. They are more concerned about their audience understanding the concepts than showcasing their talent. When you write a complex slide, what you are actually telling the world is, see, I understand this. When you write a simple slide, you tell the world, see, you understand this. There is a difference. So you care for people, then you spend that extra time. For example, assume somebody is asking you a question. If you care about that person, okay, this guy is not a techie, he only understands this. Let me use an example which goes to that level and then he understands it. For example, let's say your grandmother asks you, you go to this ATM machine and you withdraw money and all those. How does that ATM machine work? Then you go to the level of examples that your grandmother will understand and then you explain because you care for your grandmother. Let's say you're walking on the road and somebody stops you and says, hey, how does ATM machine works? You say, I'm busy, I'm not going to explain to you because you don't care about that person. It's as simple as that. It's the same logic here. if you are investing your time and energy to make a slide simple, you are actually carrying towards your audience. That's a thing. Simple slides reach more people. This is another important thing. If you have an audience of 50 people, if you create a simple slide, the likelihood of you reaching 30 to 35 of them is high. You create a complex slide, 5 of them will like it or 2 of them will like it and they will really think you are a genius, but the other 48 will be thinking, when is the lunch break, when do I get out of this room? That's a problem. If you want to reach more people, your slides have to be simple. And this is the point I was stressing. You should care for your viewers. That is the end of the day, that's what matters. Because we are presenting it for our audience and then they should understand it. So that's what I'm explaining it a little bit in detail in this slide. Don't show off. Presentation is not the place to show off what you know. Complexity of the slide is not equal to the genius, how genius you are. Just because you wrote a genius slide, it doesn't, just because you wrote a complex slide, it doesn't mean you are a genius. Actually, the reverse is true. Look at this statement. Think about it for a minute. There are so many research scientists in this world. They are doing so many researches, so many things they are inventing every day. But Nobel Prize goes to who? It's not awarded to the most complex research. It is awarded to the most useful research. It should benefit the mankind. Then only the Nobel Prize is awarded. Of course, Nobel Prize is not the criteria. I am just using it as an example. When you think about it, that is very important. Whatever you are saying should be beneficial. If your presentation is not useful to the listener, then there is no point in presenting it. You would have observed it when you were in college, right? You would have seen some boring lectures and you would have seen some interesting lectures. And boring lectures will be like, they don't care whether you got the message or not. I have this subject, I have to teach it for 45 minutes, I teach it for 45 minutes and I get out. That's what it is. Whereas a caring teacher would have spent that extra time to dilute it to the level you understand, make sure that you are understanding it and then leaving it with you so that you can read more and you can understand more about it. So that is a question we should ask. If my presentation is not useful to most of the people who are in my audience, then I better not present it. That's the point here. Okay, so I have understood that, okay, a presentation has to be simple. Now how to make it simple? This is the key. You should invest time in thinking. Okay, now you may say, hey, I always think about my presentation. True. But do you think about what to say or how to present? There is a difference. Let's say you are asked to do a presentation on, let's say, global warming. You spend 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours reading about global warming. Then you spend half an hour creating a presentation about it. And then you go and start presenting it. That's what typically happens. Did you invest any time thinking about, okay, I've learned so much in 2 hours, let me invest 1 hour thinking about how to present it. What's the best way to present it? That step, most of us miss. We learn, we present. There is a step in between. That's what I'm talking about. It's the topic thinking which everybody does. I'm talking about how to present it. So we need to think about what is the best way to say it. I have understood it now. Now what is the best way to say it? Should I say it with words? Should I say it with pictures? Should I say it with video? Should I use the board and explain it? Think about it. So that is the key. That's what will make your presentation simple. Nothing else. Irrespective of how much you know on the topic, you may be a research scholar, you may know end-to-end about a topic, but still it doesn't guarantee that your presentation will be reaching the people. So you have to invest time in this. So how to do it? There are many ways. Pen and paper are the classic best tools to do it. Take a pen and paper and start writing, okay, I will first say this, then I'll say this, then I'll say this. First I'll explain what is global warming. Then I'll explain, no, let me not explain global warming first. Let me tell you the effect of global warming first. I'll say that earlier it used to be like rainy season means rain will come and summer season means summer will come. And now suddenly in the middle of summer we get rain, suddenly in the middle of rain we get summer, whatever it is. So I will use this example which everybody will understand and then I'll say, yeah, reason for this is global warming and this is what is global warming. So you basically think about it and you decide on the sequence, the way, the flow, how your presentation should go. So use a pen and paper or a whiteboard if you have access to it. See if there is a flow. When you say flow, when you look at a train, there is a flow. You see one compartment, next to it there is another compartment, next to it another compartment, there is a flow. Whereas when you see vehicles going on the road, there is no flow. It's like each vehicle goes whichever way it wants to. How your presentation looks like. Is it like a train, or if you want a more natural example, like a river? Like a river flows, is it flowing really? Is the message very clear? Why I am moving from this topic to this topic? Because this. Why I am moving from this topic to this topic? Because of, there is a story. When somebody tells you Ramayana or Mahabharata, you know that there is a flow. Okay, this happens, after that this happens, after that this happens, and only because of this, this happened. You can't take this and put it here. It will confuse the whole flow. So your flow should be perfect. If there is no flow, rewrite, rewrite, rewrite. Do it again and again. Ask people, especially your enemies. Why I am mentioning the term enemy here is because mostly we ask feedback to friends. And friends don't want to hurt you. They will simply tell you, ah, great, looks good. Or they'll say, okay, just change this color from red to blue and you are done, kind of feedback. I mean, it's not that they can't give constructive feedback. They typically say they like you. Because of that, they like the presentation. They say, okay, fine, I understood everything. And there are very few friends who will give you critical feedback. Whereas, go to your worst enemy, present the flow and say, they'll say, no, this is junk. Move here to this is unclear. Why you are moving from here to here? Such a feedback will only come from your enemy. Of course, it's a relative term. What it actually means is show it to people who will give you feedback, who will give you concept, who will tell you something useful to improve your flow. So keep continuing it and implement whatever suggestions that they are giving, and that's what will make your presentation flow better. You haven't written your presentation yet. You are still in the flow. You have understood this is how it should flow. First this should happen, then this should happen, then this should happen, and this is the sequence in which I will tell my story. I like using this term story. It doesn't matter whether you are presenting an engineering concept or whether you are doing a corporate concept, whatever it is, end of the day it's all a story. If you can't tell everything as a story, then you will be a weak presenter. So from that perspective, just think about the flow in your presentation. Okay, I am ready, the flow is there, great. I have written it down on paper, I have it ready, now I have to write slides. There to start. First point I want to stress is, don't worry about software as such. Software comes the last. Now we are in that stage, that's why we are talking about software. Otherwise, don't worry about where you will write the presentation. It can even be board. You don't have to write any slides. If you have the flow in your hand, without slides, you can use the board and explain the whole concept. You don't need software. That's what I'm trying to say. So slides are kind of like, okay, now I have slides. So I presented it in some college, so I'm coming here and be able to present it again without really going through that entire exercise of doing it again. Other than that, slides don't add too much of value. Slides are just there to give a clue to audience what is the sequence in which you are going. Other than that, they're not very important. Don't pay too much attention to the slides. So don't worry about a fancy software. Most of us start with Microsoft PowerPoint. That is probably a wrong place to start. Not that PowerPoint is a bad, it's actually a very good software, very good presentation software, but for beginners, it is too much. Imagine you are hungry and you are having 10 spoons in your hand and you are worried which spoon to use to eat. PowerPoint is like that. It will give you too many options. Oh, should I use this, should I use that, this layout, this font, animation, so many things are there, and you keep looking at it and you are, oh, will it be good, will that be good, and you are worried about too many things which are unnecessary. They don't add value to your topic. So start with something very simple. I like these two. Actually there is a spelling mistake. I think it is WPS Office. Google Slides and WPS Office. These two are great solutions. PowerPoint is better than them in a way, in terms of feature. It's feature rich, whereas these two are simple. You open, start writing your slides. It's as simple as that. It doesn't really give you too many options. You have to go search for those options. If you want to change color from red to black to red, you have to search for it. Whereas in Microsoft, it's there on your face. So you keep playing with colors. So you are distracted from what you want to see. So start somewhere here. Later you can take it to Microsoft PowerPoint and improve it. So start with something simple. It's a simple, not confusing kind of a software. Write text first. Don't worry about pictures. Unless and until picture is so important that you want to add something like a block diagram. Without that block diagram, you can't explain the concept. In such cases, you can add pictures in the middle. Otherwise, I prefer to write all text first. Just write the text fully. and then worry about pictures. What picture to add here, what picture to add there, like that you can worry about later. And write as many slides as you want. Some people are they don't understand that this is not like a book or something where you have a limit. There is nothing wrong in creating a 40-slide presentation as long as you follow certain rules which we are explaining later. You don't have to shrink everything and put it in 20 slides. Make it 40 slides, make it spread, have more slides explaining concepts, and then there is nothing wrong. I'm not saying write more, I'm saying have more slides. There is a difference. Okay? That means you need to just feel free to create more slides, as long as just because there is a slide you are writing too much of content. That should not be it. Otherwise, just create as many slides as you want, but that is important. You have a flow in hand. That is like your rigid rule. That is the flow you should follow. In the flow, if it says first explain this concept, then there has to be a slide for it. Then it says explain this, then there has to be a slide. Just follow the flow and then start creating your slides. And layout, when you are creating a presentation, you can choose a layout. There is a default layout provided by your software. Usually this is the default layout. A title and some bullet points. Use that. You can change it at a later point of time if required, but have some consistency. That is important. Throughout the presentation, it should look similar. I'm not saying this is the best layout. Okay? If you want text here and picture here, or picture here and text here, or picture here and then text there, or whatever it is, you choose, but stick to it. There has to be a uniformity. It should not like each slide looks different. I've seen some places where like in one slide picture will be there, in one slide picture will be here, in one slide picture will be small, in another slide picture will be too big. I mean, it's so confusing to the. It should be like don't strain the eyes of your viewers. Now now I have already done some 7-8 slides. Now you are prepared, right? How my slides are going to be. Like there is going to be a title, there are going to be some bullet points, and that's all. It's going to flow. So people get eased into your presentation. So you should create that by creating some standard layout. I'm not saying this is the layout. It can be any layout, but follow it religiously. As much as possible, create a uniformity. In between, if you want to change it for a particular reason, it's fine. Then when you're writing text, use simple sentences as much as possible. And don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about full sentences. For example, few words, not necessarily full sentences, is not a valid sentence. In PowerPoint, in slides, when you're writing slides, you don't have to worry about having full sentences. As long as it conveys the message, it's fine. There are people who even write less than this. It's fine, nothing wrong. As long as you remember what to say and the people are able to understand what you are saying, that is enough. And obvious errors you should avoid. Spelling and grammar errors. There is a spelling check available in every software. You have to just remember to run it. When you run it, it will tell you what spelling errors you have done, what grammar errors you have done. Just do it once before presenting. This is very important because there are certain people, especially when you are doing corporate presentations, there are certain people like me who judge people by their spelling mistakes. Okay? It's wrong, I know, but that's what I do. If there is a slide with a spelling mistake, I just feel like that guy didn't care enough. That's what I feel. And of course, I also leave spelling mistakes. I just saw a spelling mistake 2 slides back. So I'll go back and correct it. That's a different story. But the point is, try to avoid. You should at least run a spell check. Sometimes even that we don't do. Just run a spell check. That will find out most of the spelling errors. It may not find every spelling errors, but just make sure that you are avoiding all the explicit errors. And this is another rule. Many people say different rules. Some people say 4x4, some people say 6x6. It is nothing but 4x4 means 4 slides, 4 bullet points with 4 words in it. Some people say 6x6. 6 bullet points with 6 words in it, whatever it is. I believe in 6, 4 to 6. Somewhere 4 bullet point, 5 bullet point, 6 bullet point. Within them, you have to make it. Each bullet point should be short and crisp. Don't put your entire document into it. Some people do that. They write a Word document and they just copy paste it into presentation. That is not the right approach. The best approach is write for PowerPoint. Even if you have a document, it's fine. Keep it as a reference only. Read it, say it simply. Read it, say it simply. That's what you should. Now the next point is, okay, I have written text. What colors I should use? What background I should use? Again, the simple rule is keep it simple. by default, white background, black text. That's what I like. Most of my presentations will be white background and black text. But that need not be the case for you. You can choose your own color, your own font. That's fine. I leave it to you. But if you're doing a corporate presentation, your company has a specific background, specific font that you should use, then you should follow. If you're going to present in an event, they may say your presentation should have a red background and should have a this color text, whatever it is. They will give you those norms so you can follow it. But be uniform. Don't change it everywhere. That is one thing. Change it for every slide is bad. Changing it within a slide is worst. Some people, what they do is, first bullet will be in one font, second bullet will be in another font, third bullet will be in 3 different fonts, 2 different colors, and all crazy combinations. Okay? To tell you the truth, it doesn't add any value to your presentation, except when you are stressing a point. I'll give you one example. You are presenting 6 points, out of which 2 are positive points, 4 are negative points. Then you can put those 2 in green and those 4 in red. Then it is making a point. There is a reason why you have used a color code. Otherwise, if you just randomly put some red color and blue color, people are just thinking, why do they put bold there? Why that word is in blue? Is there any relevance to it? People are confused about it. So use your colors, bold, italics, font, underline, supersize, all those only when it is making a point. It should make a point. It should be stressing it. Because I have underlined it, it's important. Because I have put it in red, it is dangerous. Something like that. There has to be some meaning and follow it uniformly. If in one slide red means bad and in next slide red means good, there is absolutely no clarity. When you are in traffic signal, you know for sure that red means you should stop and green means you should go. If it changes for every signal, then you will be confused like anything. Don't let your viewers have that confusion. It should always be follow something and you better tell people. Wherever you see red, it means they are negative points. Tell it to them. They know that what you are trying to convey. Sometimes that itself will convey the message. You don't have to talk at all. Too many red words, that means it's a dangerous situation. Too many green words, it means we are good to whatever. So use these when it is necessary. So this is another thing. If text won't fit in single slide, create a new one. Don't write. Sometimes you can't follow that 6 bullet points rule. You may have 12 bullet points. In that case, create 2 slides. There is nothing. Don't try to put all the 12 in one. Nobody is going to ask you, why did you create one extra slide? Now, what to write? I'm clear 6 bullet points. I'm clear it has to be short. I'm clear it has to be simple, non-disturbing color. One thing about background and color, just see that the background and color are really contrast and you're able to see it. I have seen presentations where there is a yellow background and orange text. You can't read anything. Okay? So just, don't strain your viewers' eyes. There has to be a good contrast and people should be able to read it properly. Okay, now coming back to this, what to write? One simple rule is don't give away everything. Okay? It doesn't mean you should hide. What it actually means is you don't have to write everything on the slide. See, here itself, I'm saying don't give away everything, but I'm talking much more than those 4 words, right? That's the same example that I'm giving. Say something, very important keywords you put there. They are just guide what you are going to talk. Otherwise, you should talk much more than what is there in the slide. Don't read what is there. Presentation and document are 2 different things. Okay? And audio and video can be added in the presentation, but it is better to add them as links instead of embedding them here. Mainly because a little later when I am coming to presentations, I will explain about it. Sometimes you may not have the right software in the place where you are presenting. You might have embedded video, audio, everything and prepared a beautiful PowerPoint thing. When you go there, they say, we don't believe in Microsoft, we are a different technology, we have a different software, or we have only PDF viewer, whatever it is, then all those won't play. So better keep them separately and provide links there. And another important point I forgot to mention in the previous slide, animations. Don't use animations unless and until they explain something. For example, you want to explain 4-stroke engine, how it works, you can put a beautiful animation which explains how 4-stroke engine works. That's fine. But a rabbit jumping from here to there for no reason is no. Okay? Number 1, it is distracting. People will be really disturbed. Animation is liked only by probably 3% of the people, not more than that. Of course, they will watch an animated movie. There, their mindset itself is different. I'm going there to watch animation. That is here. I'm here to listen to your story, and suddenly a rabbit is jumping from here to here. No, that is one reason. Second reason, sometimes people see these presentations in PDF files or as a print. You print and give it to them. Then your animation won't play. So they don't understand why there is a rabbit standing here. When you are presenting, that rabbit will be jumping from here to there and it will look cool. But when you are printing and giving it to them, they'll be confused like what is the relevance of rabbit there. So that is the fun part of it. Try to avoid animations as much as possible. It is actually distracting and it's not really appreciated in any formal sense except when it is explaining a concept. You want to explain a flow, from here it goes there, you want to explain it, it's fine. Use animation, but otherwise try to avoid it as much as possible. Some companies like Oracle, they have a rigid rule, no animation in the slides that you are presenting in any of their events. They have a rigid rule, you can't have animations because of these reasons. Okay, pictures. This is a very tricky topic. Some people like 50% pictures, 50% text in their presentation. Some people like 75% pictures, 25% text. People like me prefer 95% text and 5% pictures. You didn't see any picture till now, right? Okay, it differs. You may be a different kind of person, but I'm telling you my thoughts. Use pictures when they are necessary. Till now, I didn't see a need for picture at all, so I didn't use any picture. I've used some pictures in the next few slides. When there is a necessity, you use it. Number two, the moment you add pictures, you should reduce words. Okay? Just because I told you, okay, you told me to add 6 bullet points, I added 6 bullet points, I put a big picture there. Actually, they say a picture is equivalent to 1,000 words, right? It's true. When you're putting a picture there, that itself should speak. You should not need words. Let me put it that way. If it is required, put some 4 or 5 words, not more than that. Putting one picture there and putting 6 bullet points here will actually be distracting. So the moment you put a picture, cut 2 bullet points and try to convey that using the pictures. So the picture should be conveying a message. Just because it's a nice picture, you found it on the internet, don't take it and put it there. So that is one thing. It should communicate something. Your picture should really communicate something and it should bring down the text in that slide. That is one important thing. Second one, choose pictures carefully to match your presentation theme. That is important. Some people, what they do is, they'll be using very formal pictures and in between suddenly they love Mickey Mouse. It's not matching the theme. Okay, so you should make sure that you're following some theme for your presentation, and it should not. I mean, sometimes you'll be watching a movie with a very serious theme, and suddenly one item song will come. Like, okay, of course, we are happy for a different reason. That is different, but for the flow of the movie, that song there is actually disturbing. So like that, choose your pictures carefully. And another important thing, instead of using pictures, use these things. They are also pictures, but they are different kind of pictures. For example, graphs. I am telling you that in India, 75% of the people use mineral water. Let's say I'm just saying. The other 25% don't use mineral water. Instead of that, I can put a pie chart. I can show 75% here, 25% here. I can put mineral water, I can put regular water, whatever it is. I'm just making up the statistics. So, there, you don't have to add any bullet point. That picture itself will communicate what is the message. That's what I mean by, the moment you add a picture, words should go down. It should even become 0 in some cases. So, use graphs, use flow diagrams, block diagrams. From here, data goes here, from here data goes here, it gets encrypted, put a firewall picture there. I mean, basically like that conveys something. And logos. If you are presenting about a company, put the company logo there. In addition to the text, it basically adds value to that. You can add maps. For example, you are saying my company has offices in 7 countries. You put a world map and put a dot in those 7 countries where your country is there, your office is there. It's beautiful. It has explained everything without a single word. So that's what I mean by use pictures when they are absolutely necessary, and that picture should add value. Question each picture in your presentation. Why is it here? Is it really necessary? Is it adding value? Is it distracting? If it is distracting, if I delete it, what will happen to the presentation? If nothing happens, delete it. That is my advice. Or better, don't add it in the first place. So, where do I find my pictures? Number one, use your own photos, your own pictures as much as possible. that adds credibility to your presentation. For example, I recently saw one presentation where a student was talking about a solar based some project that they did, and they showed a picture, neat picture. They did it in one place in India, and they showed it, and in the picture everybody, all the people around were Western people. It is very obvious that picture is taken from internet. Now I started doubting their project itself. Did they really do a project, or just like they took the picture from internet, probably they never did the picture. Whereas then the very next presentation, that guy had pictures from real workshop. I could see that it's a workshop, and people standing there were all looking like Indian people. So I could really see that, yes, this guy, it's his own picture, not picture. Maybe he also took from an Indian website, that's a different story. But at least, try to use as much as possible, try to use your own pictures. That is number one. And your own diagrams, make your own diagrams. Fantastic tools are available online for making diagrams, all free tools only. Invest some time in learning how to make those diagrams. Those diagrams will really add value to your presentation. Clip art, good to use, but it may not be appropriate in most cases. Clip arts are mostly, they will be like cartoon images. Unless and until it's, try to avoid them as much as possible. This itself is a clip art or a shape, I don't remember what it is. So try to avoid them as much as possible. Only when it is absolutely necessary, you go for it. And don't stretch images too much. It's another mistake that people do. It will be a small image, they'll just stretch it to the whole slide and it looks ugly, really ugly. You don't realize it, but people who are seeing it can immediately sense that it's a small picture. Small picture, let it be small. Big picture, you stretch it to whatever level you want. Okay, and another important point, copyright. When taking images for presentations, most people don't respect copyright. That's why I added this slide. When you are adding a picture from internet, first of all, try to avoid it. Try to add your own pictures. In fact, it's 3-level rule. Number one, don't add any pictures. If you can't avoid it, add your pictures. If you can't avoid it, add pictures with these ones. Okay? If you are taking a picture from internet, add a separate slide saying image credits or thanks, and give the URL from which you took the picture. That is thanking the person who took that picture. Okay? That is okay, but it may still be illegal. Most of the pictures which are posted in internet, they are all copyrighted. So that means if somebody has posted it, they own the copyright for it. Just because you create a slide and then thank them, it doesn't mean you can take it. Okay, can you walk into a restaurant, take a plate of idli and thank them and then come out? You have to pay for that, right? So it's like, saying thanks and coming out is better than taking and not saying thanks, but still it doesn't make it legal, right? So that's where, okay, that is one thing. First of all, don't forget to give thanks, but understand that it may still be illegal. So, okay, what do I do in that case? If it is illegal, I don't want to be illegal, I want to go with the legal route, follow this. Some people take an image from a site where there will be a watermark, like X mark will be there, or it will say Getty Images or whatever it is. With the watermark only they will put it. What happens is, you are losing respect of your audience. Okay? I don't know whether that practice is there in Karnataka or not. In Tamil Nadu there is a practice. In hotel, when you go there, in the glass, in olden days they used to give this metal glass. In the metal glass they will write, this glass is stolen from so-and-so hotel. They will write like that. So if in case somebody steals it and keeps it in their home, let's say you are having a guest and you are giving them water in that glass, they see that this is stolen from so-and-so hotel. They'll immediately check whether their wallet is safe or not. It's this watermarked image is equal to it. By putting that watermarked image, you are telling the people that I'm not a legal person, I don't respect copyright, all the text, all the pictures in this presentation may be stolen from somewhere else. That's how I take it. If you are showing me a presentation with a watermarked image in it, I assume you are a thief. Sorry, don't take it wrong, but that's how I assume. Okay? If you are not afraid to steal a single picture, you won't be afraid to steal a whole presentation. That is my logic. Maybe wrong, but that's how I think, that's how many people think. So let's be legal. Note down this URL, search.creativecommons.org, fantastic website. Thousands of images are there. All are legally free to use anywhere, including print. You can even print them and sell them. It's 100% free. Fantastic website, and it's not few images I'm talking about thousands of images. There are thousands of images, literally anything you want to present, you will find an image there. And you can use it free, no issues. But still, give a thanks credit. That's a good habit. Even if you don't give thanks credit, they're still fine. It's a free website. So use this website. Images that you find on this website may not be very professional, but they are legal. Okay, you take a call. Do you want to steal a professional image, or do you want to use a average but legal image? That's a call that you need to take. And best option is take your own images. That is the other. Okay, now title. Each slide should have a title, and that title should explain what you are saying in that slide. Okay? Consider your presentation as a novel. Titles are nothing but chapters. When you take a novel and then just look at the chapters, you understand the story more or less, right? But you still have to read the novel. It's the same logic you should follow in title logic. Don't give away everything in the title, then people will only read the title and go away. So title has to be descriptive, and the same title should tell the flow, but not the actual content. Title should be simple enough to create interest. At the same time, it should be matching with the theme of the slide. And there are some slides where only pictures are there. You can give a title or you can ignore a title. That is a choice given to you. The notes, normally people don't add notes to their presentations, but they are very useful. I'll tell you why. One simple example. You made a presentation on March 1st. You showed it to your boss on March 10th. He took 20 days to review it. On March 30th, he came back and said, it is fantastic, tomorrow you present it. On March 31st, you are going and presenting it to a customer and you don't remember anything on those slides. Because you wrote it on March 10th and you forgot all about it in the next 20 days. Now you are trying to read the slide and understand why did I put this point, why the statistics there, from where I took the statistics, what should I say for this, where is the flow, you will not remember anything. Or you are giving it to somebody and they are going to present it, they will need 2 hours of your time to explain. Instead, create a notes, put all your notes there, and then that will help you when you are presenting it at a later point. Another benefit, when you are presenting, you can see the notes there. Your end listeners won't see the notes, you will see the notes there. So you can see there, and then you can even, in case you are in doubt or you forgot something, you can quickly refer and then you can talk about it. This is very useful. This can be very descriptive. I have seen some slides with 3-page, 4-page notes on it. Nothing wrong. You can write as much text as you want because you're not going to present it, right? So all the other rules I told, they won't apply. Okay, now I've completed the slides. What do I do? Review the slides, compare them against the flow. I had the flow initially, and here are my slides. Am I matching? Is the flow going smooth? So you have to check that. You repeat this until it becomes perfect. Review, rework, review, rework, review, rework. Actually, I normally say, depending on where you are going to present it, you have to spend time accordingly. For example, if you are going to use this presentation to just teach your co-worker some concept, maybe 1 review will do. If you are going to present it to your boss, maybe 2-3 reviews are required. If you are going to present it to your customer, some 5-6 reviews are required. If you are going to present it to President of India, maybe 15 reviews are required. The level determines how many reviews you have to do. Make it perfect. There is room for improvement always. Okay? Players who are playing at the national level cricket, that's probably the highest level they can reach. They are still practicing, right? There is room for improvement continuously. So keep changing the slide. After presenting this in that university, I would have changed the slides at least 4 times, and I still see a spelling mistake in there. So there is room for improvement always. And flow. Flow has to be maintained and enhanced. Earlier, you only had 1 piece of paper. Now you have slides. So flow should be better than earlier. If flow is lost or flow is reduced, then it is your mistake. Go back and rework. Make sure that your original flow really flows. Earlier it was picture of a river. Now it's a real river which should be flowing in front of your eyes. Finally, these are some final steps. Add a title slide. You can tell them, hey, my flow is already there, so I want to go in that flow. After that, you can ask whatever questions you have. Or, I'm open to questions. Anytime stop me for questions. Tell that to people so that they know whether to note down the question or ask the question straight away. And during presentation, never read from your slides. In fact, don't even look at the slides. That is better. If you know the topic, if you know the flow, you should be able to talk without slides. In fact, I look at the slides very often, mainly because I don't want to miss any points. Nothing wrong in it. But at the same time, don't just look at it and then read. There are people who do that. And that is really irritating because people sitting there can also read. They are not illiterate people. and there is text there, they can read it themselves. What's the point in standing here and reading? You can just